Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll be explaining you about minimum speed for starting a centrifugal pump. Okay, so in my earlier classes, I have told you HM stands for the total head against which the pump is working. Okay, it includes all the heads: suction head, delivery head, frictional losses in the suction pipe, frictional losses in the delivery pipe, and friction losses around the impeller. Okay, at any time, did you observe that once the pump is running, sometimes the water will not discharge into the tank? Have you ever noticed that? Likewise, when you switch on the motor, the pump will be rotating, but the water will not be delivered into your overhead tank. Did you observe that? Yes, that may be due to the reason that entry of air molecules or air bubbles into the impeller. I mean, into the casing of the centrifugal pump. So, once the air bubbles enter inside, the pressure rise will not take place. See, what is happening at the impeller? At the impeller, the mechanical energy which is coming out from the motor is converted into pressure energy. Correct? So, that pressure energy only or the pressure rise only is helpful for us in pumping the water upwards against the gravity. But once the air bubbles are inside the casing, I mean nearby the impeller, this pressure rise cannot take place. Why? Because the air molecules will resist them. So that's why we will remove the air molecules. For that we will do an action called as priming. Okay, that I'll explain you in the next coming videos. So the pressure rise in the impeller should take place so that the water will be discharged. Okay, and this pressure rise should be more than or equal to the manometric head. It should overcome the manometric head, then only the pumping will take place. Otherwise, as I have told you, the pump will not discharge any water even though it is running. Okay, so as I have told you, the pressure rise in the impeller should be greater than the manometric head, then only the water will be discharged. If the water are not discharging, means the pressure rise taking place in the impeller is not sufficient. That's why the water is not pumping out. Why it is not sufficient? Due to presence of some X matter. What is that X matter? Air molecules. Okay, this is how the process takes place. So, in case of forced vortex flow, I have told you already, the principle on which centrifugal pump works is a forced vortex flow, which is nothing but if you take a certain mass of liquid and you give it any external torque, that torque consists of a centrifugal force, correct? So then only the rise in the water level takes place or the rise in the pressure takes place. That's a forced vortex flow. So in case of forced vortex flow, the centrifugal head or the head due to pressure rise in the impeller is equal to, that pressure rise is given by the formula omega r2 square by 2g minus omega square r1 square by 2g. What does this omega stand for? It's the tangential velocity. Okay, remember this omega into r will give you the tangential velocity, which is nothing but u. That only, the tangential velocity we are calling it as u1 and u2, right? That u1 and u2 is equal to omega into respect to r2 or omega into respect to r1. Okay, you remember this omega stands for angular velocity. Okay, so once you multiply in your engineering mechanics, you will have the conversion between linear displacements or linear motion and curvilinear motion. In linear motion you have velocity, in curvilinear motion you have angular velocity. In linear motion you have acceleration, which you denote it by the symbol a, whereas when you come to curvilinear motion you will be having angular acceleration, which you denote by alpha. So what we will do is we will try to establish a relation between in kinetics, probably we will try to establish a relation between this angular curvilinear motions and the linear motions. That's how you get this formula of u is equal to omega into r, or in mechanics they write generally v is equal to omega into r. Okay, so omega is the angular velocity into radius. Okay, that's how the relation from there we have taken. So omega into r2 is tangential velocity at the impeller at the outlet, which is u2. Omega r1 is the tangential velocity of the impeller at inlet, which is u1. This we have already known. u1, u2, we are calling them as tangential velocities, which is equal to w into r2 or omega into r2, which is equal to omega into r1. Why this came into picture is, why? Because our impeller is rotating, right? Which is nothing but the water is taking a curvilinear path or a circular path. That's why this came. So from here, in the place of omega into r2, I will substitute u2. So this becomes u2 square by 2g minus u1 square by 2g. I'll take it as equation number 2. But what did I tell you just now? The water flow will take place only if the pressure rise is greater than the manometric head. So greater than or equal to at least. So u2 square by 2g minus u1 square by 2g should be greater than or equal to hm. I'll take the equality. So u2 square by 2g minus u1 square by 2g is equal to hm. Why I have taken equalities? I told at least it should be equal. It should be equal or greater than. So once it is equal means you get the minimum speed. So that's why we are taking the equal to symbol. So is equal to hm. This is equation number 3. As we have seen in the since the earlier classes about manometric efficiency, right? What was the formula for manometric efficiency? G into hm by Vw to U2. So from here, what can I write hm as? This Vw to U2 will go that side. So hm will be eta man into Vw to U2 by G. Let it be equation number 4. Observe equation 3. U2 square by 2G minus U1 square by 2G is equal to hm. Observe equation 4 hm. So what can I imply from equation 3 and 4? This value is equal to hm. This value is also equal to hm. Then from equation 3 and 4 I can write this and this are equal. Simple. So u2 square by 2g minus u1 square by 2g is equal to hm. In the place of hm I'll substitute eta man into Vw to u2 by g. But already we know the formulas of u1, u2, right? u1 is tangential velocity at the inlet, which is pi d1 n by 60. Correct? Where d1 is the diameter of the impeller at the inlet and n is the speed of the impeller by 60. Similarly, what is u2? Tangential velocity at the outlet, which is again equal to the formula pi d2n by 60. Again, d2 is the diameter of the impeller at the outlet, n is the speed of the impeller. So I'll substitute the values of u1 and u2 in equation number 5. This I am considering as equation number 5. I am substituting the values of u1 and u2 in equation number 5. So let's see what happens. So in the place of u2 I have put pi d2n by 60 whole square by 2g minus in the place of u1 I have put pi d1 n by 60 whole square by 2g, which is equal to the same eta man into Vw2 into here I got u2, remember. In the place of u2 again I should substitute pi d2n by 60. So pi d2n by 60 will come here. So 60 into there was already g. Okay. Now you see here g is common, right, on the left hand side. So you can take out g common. Here you are already having g. Your g and g will get cancelled. So this will be equal to, I'll just simplify the equation. This complete whole square, right? So I'll remove the square. Pi square d2 square n square by 60 square is 3600. Here I am having 2. So 2 into 3600 will be 7200 minus again pi square d1 square n square by again this is same 7200 is equal to eta man into Vw2 into pi d2n by 60. Already g and g got cancelled as I have told you. Now dividing by pi n by 60 on both sides, so that I just want to simplify the equation. Okay, I'm having very big numbers. I'll just simplify them. So why? Because here you see there is pi, in this term also there is pi, n is there, even on the right hand side I have pi and n, and 60 is there. 60 will go, 7200 will be cancelled with 60. That's the reason I'm dividing with pi n by 60 on both sides. So now what will happen here? 1 pi 1 n will get cancelled and 60 will go with 7200 as 120 times. So pi n d2 square by 120 minus here I will get again pi dn d1 square by 120 is equal to this 60, this pi, this n already gone. So eta man into Vw2 into d2. So from here I can take out 120 common. I can take out from the numerator pi and n common. So take completely pi n by 120 common. You will be left with d2 square minus d1 square, which is equal to eta man into Vw2 into d2. So from here I require the value of n, minimum starting speed. So n is equal to eta man into Vw2 into d2 into 120 divided by pi into d2 square minus d1 square. Okay, right. This is the formula for minimum starting speed of a centrifugal pump. Eta man into Vw2 into d2 into 120 by pi into d2 square minus d1 square. Okay, I'll just repeat you once again. So once again I'm telling you, if the pressure rise in the impeller is more than the manometric head, then only the water will be pumping upwards. So that pressure rise is given by the formula omega square r2 square by 2g minus omega square r1 square by 2g. But omega into r stand for tangential velocities, which are denoted by the symbols u. So u2 square by 2g minus u1 square by 2g is the total pressure rise. But we already know the formulas of U2 and U1 that we will substitute. And also before that, as I've told you, for the pressure rise to take place, this whatever increase in pressure should be overcoming the manometric head. So just take this equity symbol. It is greater than or equal to hm, but I'm taking equity because I require minimum starting speed. So minimum means, what is the first case? It should be equal, right? Once it is equal only, then it can be greater than 1 time or 2 time or whatever, but first it should be equal. So take the equity symbol. It is equation number 3. And from manometric efficiency, we have GHM by VW2 U2. So from there, I'm taking HM. Then from both the equations, I'm just equating them. So now I got the equation purely in terms of V's and eta man and VW2. Okay. Then I'm substituting the values of U1 and U2 in the above equation, which I got in terms of U and eta man. Then I'm just simplifying the equation, a simple mathematics, and finally I got the value of minimum starting speed as eta man into VW2 into D2 into 120 by pi into D2 square by D1 square. Okay, this is the derivation. Right, now let's solve problems related to minimum starting speed. Let's see the first model of problem. Okay, the diameters of an impeller of a centrifugal pump at inlet and outlet are 30 cm and 60 cm respectively. Determine the minimum starting speed of the pump if it works against a head of 30 meter. It is very simple question. They asked us to calculate the value of n. Okay, now let's write the given data first. Okay, right, what is the given data? Diameter of the impeller at the inlet and outlet is given. So inlet I will denote it by 1 and outlet I'll denote it with 2. Right, diameter of the impeller at the inlet, diameter of the impeller at the inlet is equal to, how I am denoting it with D1. So D1 is equal to how much it is given? 30 centimeter. Convert this into meters, it will be 0.3 meters. How do you convert into meters? Just divide by 100. 30 by 100 is 0.3. Similarly, diameter of the impeller at the outlet, diameter of the impeller at the outlet. Yeah, so this is given by D2, which is how much? 60 centimeters, which is how many meters? 0.6 meters. And it is working under a head of 30 meters. Means what? Manometric head is given. Manometric head is nothing but the total head against which our pump is working. Manometric head HM is equal to 30 meters. What is that you require? He's asking n value. So now, just now I derived the value of n for you, right? What was n I told you? It is eta man into VW2 into D2 into 120 by pi into D2 square minus D1 square. But here nothing related to eta man is given. Means manometric efficiency is not given, and also nothing related to VW2 is given. VW2 is considered when we have velocity triangle. So that is not given. But still we require the value of n. It means that we cannot apply this formula, rather we'll check another alternative for solving. Okay, now come back to our derivation part. Remember our equation number 3, where in the place of omegas I have written u2 square by 2g minus u1 square by 2g is equal to hm. I think this is the best way to consider. Why? Because we can write the formulas of u2 and u1, correct? From there only n will be the unknown. So I think we can substitute here and we can write. Okay, before this, first let's calculate for u1 and u2. Right, tangential velocity at inlet. See friends, I'll just tell you one important thing. When you're writing the given data, please don't first, before writing the shortcut, just write the total meaning of that notation whatever you are putting. Why? Because due to practice you may directly write u1 u2 like that, but when your paper is getting evaluated, different people follow different notations. So instead of getting, and the person whoever is evaluating may get confused or your marks may reduce. So instead of going into chaos situation, better you just write the total what is the notation standing for. You write the total abbreviation, okay, or you write the total parameter name. When you're practicing at home you don't require, but when you're doing in the examination hall, please write the total values. Okay, it may take just 2 to 3 seconds time, but still you have to maintain that. So tangential velocity at inlet, u1 is equal to, what is the formula? Pi d1 n by 60. I'll substitute the values. So this is equal to pi into what is d1, 0.3 into n, I don't know, let it be like n only, by 60. I'll just simplify the value and see what I'll get. Okay, so shift pi into 0.3 by 60. Right, I got 0.015 n. Okay, take this as some equation number 1. Okay, next I'll calculate tangential velocity at the outlet. Tangential velocity at outlet, how it is denoted with u2. u2 is equal to, what is the formula? Pi d2n by 60 again. So which is again pi into what is d2, 0.6 into n by 60. So let me get the value of u2 now again in the same way. So pi into 0.6 by 60, yeah, it is 0.0314 n. Okay, this is equation number 2. Let me keep it like this. Now I told you, let's take the condition u2 square by 2g minus u1 square by 2g is equal to hm, right? So we know that u2 square by 2g minus u1 square by 2g is equal to what? hm. So u2 means, substitute u2 value 0.0314 whole square by 2 into 9.81 minus this is 0.015 whole square by 2 into 9.81 is equal to what is hm? 30. I think this is common, right? 2 into 9.81, yeah. So 0.0314 whole square minus 0.015 whole square. If you just take out common, it will be 1 by 2 into 9.81 into this term. Then this will go that side, no? So this is 30 into 2 into 9.81. Yeah, I forgot n here. You have to put n also here. So what I'll do, I'll write n square. Finish. Okay. Why? Because it is 0.015 n whole square. So I can just separate and write, no? It's not an issue. So here also n square will be common now. Are you able to follow? Just take out n square common. This will go that side. So it is 0.0314 whole square minus 0.015 whole square is equal to this value. So finally, what is n square from here? 30 into 2 into 9.81 divided by 0.0314 whole square minus 0.015 whole square. So n will be under root of this value, 30 into 2 into 9.81 divided by 0.0314 whole square minus 0.015 whole square. Just I'll solve this value. Right, after solving, I got the value of n as 879.48 rpm. So this is the value of minimum speed. Okay, you also solve, you may get just two decimals, one place is that side or this side, that's not an issue. Okay, so this is one model of problem. Let's solve the second model. Right, see the question. The diameters of an impeller of a centrifugal pump at inlet and outlet are 30 cm and 60 cm respectively. The velocity of flow at outlet is 2 meter per second and the vanes are set back at an angle of 45 degrees at the outlet. Determine the minimum starting speed of the pump if the manometric efficiency is 70%. Okay, now this is something related to velocity triangles given. Okay, then you can use the formula which we have derived, eta man into 120 and so on. That formula we can use now. Okay. Right, now I'll write the given data first. Right, what is the given data? What is diameter of the impeller given? Diameter of the impeller at the inlet. Diameter of the impeller at inlet is denoted by the symbol D1, which is 30 centimeters, which is again 0.3 meters. Similarly, diameter of the impeller at the outlet is denoted by the symbol D2, which is equal to 60 centimeters, which is equal to 0.6 meters. The velocity of flow at outlet is given. Velocity of flow at outlet is denoted by the symbol Vf2, which is equal to 2 meter per second. And the vanes are set back at an angle of 45 degrees at the outlet, means what? It is the vane angle at the outlet, which is denoted by the symbol phi. Vane angle at the inlet is denoted by the symbol theta, and at outlet it is denoted by phi. So vane angle at outlet phi is equal to 45 degrees. He is asking calculate minimum starting speed if manometric efficiency. So manometric efficiency is given. So manometric efficiency eta man is equal to 70%, which is equal to 0.7. Okay, now we can take this formula, right, whichever we have derived for n. Now this formula is applicable. Eta man given already into, we should calculate VW2 into d2 is already given into 120 by pi into d2 square minus d1 square. So the only unknown now we require at right this point is VW2. How do you get this VW2? You have to go back to velocity triangles. From there only we can write. So you have to consider the velocity triangle at the outlet. Okay. So we have to go back to velocity triangles. So for that you just refer my earlier videos. I can't go back again and repeat the same things. So directly I will consider the velocity triangle at the outlet and I'll apply tan phi. Okay, so from the velocity triangle at the outlet, and if required you need to draw the same velocity triangle diagrams also, which I have shown you in the earlier video. Okay, so from the velocity triangle at the outlet, so what can be tan phi written as? This formula we have used many number of times. Vf2 by u2 minus Vw2. So for this, first we need to do the value of u2, right? So how do you do v2? U2 is given by the formula pi d2n by 60, which is equal to pi into what is d2? 0.6 into n we don't know, into n by 60. So let's see how much we got this. Pi into 0.6 in 0.6 divided by 60. Yeah, this is 0.0314 n. Okay, that's here. And now let's go back here. So tan phi is given as 45 degrees. So tan phi 45 is equal to, what is Vf2 given to us? 2. 2 by u2 is 0.0314 n. N is also there in the bracket, minus Vw2. Okay, yeah. Now tan 45 is already 1, no? So 1 by 1 is equal to 2 by 0.0314 n minus Vw2. So from, get this here, so this is 0.0314 n minus Vw2 is equal to 2. Okay, and from here how can I write Vw2 as? Vw2 can be written as 0.0314 n minus 2. Okay, just have this value with us. Okay, so we are ready with our Vw2 value, right? So what is our formula for n? This formula we should take. Why? Because here manometric efficiency is given. So let's take that formula. N is equal to eta manometric into Vw2 into d2 into 120 by pi into d2 square minus d1 square. So n is equal to, what is manometric efficiency? 0.7 into what is Vw2 we got just now? It is 0.0314 n minus 2. So 0.0314 n minus 2 into what was d2? 0.6 into 120 by pi into d2 is 0.6 whole square minus d1 is 0.3 whole square. Okay, so from here let me check once the values are correct or not. Yeah, d1 is 0.2, 0.3, d2 is 0.6. Yes, correct. Yeah, now I'll solve this. So now this will be, okay, what you do is just leave this term and you solve the other terms. Like what I mean to tell you is 0.0314 n minus 2 into, let's solve the remaining part, which is 0.7 into 0.6 into 120 by and so on. Okay, that I'm doing here. So 0.7 into 0.6 into 120 by shift pi into 0.6 square minus 0.3 square, and just again close the bracket. Yeah, it came out to be 59.41 into 59.41, correct? The entire value is this. So from here, this value into 59 point, so 59.41 into 0.0314, how much is this? Yeah, 1.86 n minus 2 into this 59.41, 59.41 into 2, how much? 118.82. So get all n terms on one side and the remaining terms on the other side. So what you do, take this that side, get this side. So 118.82 will be equal to 1.86 n minus n. So finally what will you have? 1.86 minus 1 is how much? 0.86. So 0.86 n is equal to 118.82. So from here what is n equal to? 118.82 by 0.86. So get the value of n from here. 118.82 by 0.86. Yeah, it is 138.16 rpm. Okay, so this is how you need to solve this model. Okay, so we expect these two models on minimum starting speed. One is according to the formula, which consists of manometric efficiency and so on, where you have to consider the velocity triangles, and one is without considering the velocity triangles itself. Okay, so please practice the problems and once again go through the derivation. If still you have any doubt, just contact me either through mail or just comment me. Okay, hope you understood this video and thank you.